Hi everyone, and welcome back. We are trying to create something really fun and functional, and we appreciate all of the support. Having said that, let's jump into A3 through A4. One of the most frustrating parts of data collection is realizing that you have used the incorrect measurement procedure for the target behavior. So annoying. The three discontinuous measurement procedures are partial interval, whole interval, and momentary time sampling. The benefit of these three procedures is that it doesn't require the observer to record all instances of the target behavior. These are only estimates. To begin interval recording, you divide the observation period into smaller chunks. The smaller the interval, the more accurate your data. For the purposes of this video, each interval is 20 seconds with a total duration of 1 minute and 40 seconds. With partial interval recording, the observer scores the interval if the behavior occurs during any part. You don't care about how many times the behavior occurs because you only need one instance to mark the interval as correct. Let's say that you are taking data on shouting behavior. You divide the number of marked intervals with the total amount of intervals. For us, we would divide 2 by 5, then times 100, giving us the answer of 40%. You use partial interval for behaviors that you want to decrease or reduce, and behaviors that don't have a clear beginning and end. An example would be classroom disruptions. The disadvantage is that it's a rough estimate of the actual occurrence. With whole interval recording, the behavior has to be present for a full 20 seconds. For example, if the client engages in the target behavior for only 10 seconds, then you would not mark the interval. When scoring whole interval data, you divide the number of correct intervals, so chunks of time that indicated the occurrence of the target behavior, with the total amount of intervals. For us, we would divide 3 by 5 times 100, giving us the answer of 60%. You use whole interval recording for behaviors that you want to increase and that are expected to take place for a long time. An example would be on-task behaviors. The disadvantage of whole interval is that it underestimates, meaning the success rate is understated. With momentary time sampling, the behavior is recorded only if it occurs at the exact instant that the interval ends. Time sample recording is valuable because the person does not have to observe the behavior for the entire interval. Instead, the observer only takes data at the end of each interval. Similar to partial and whole interval, momentary time sampling is scored in the same manner. For our purposes, the client was on task in 3 out of 5 intervals, giving us a 60% success rate. The biggest advantage of momentary time sampling is that it allows you to multitask. You are not required to observe for the whole interval, allowing you to take data on 2 or more clients at the same time. However, you have to be available the exact instance that the interval ends. This visual will help you differentiate between momentary time sampling and interval recording. For momentary time sampling, you observe at the 20th second, so the last second of the interval. Whereas for partial or whole, you observe for the whole chunk of time. Lastly, we have permanent product. Educators will often use this form of data collection because it's easy. If the client completes the task, it is marked as correct. This applies to anything from completing homework to throwing out the trash. If it's done, it's correct. Because permanent product is an indirect measurement, the observer doesn't need to be present. They can give the client the homework and walk away. With that, we can't be sure who really completed the homework, hence the disadvantage.